Alright, everybody, I am here today to show you what books I read in the month of February. So let's get started. The first book I read this month was Torn by Amanda Hocking. And for those of you who do not know what this series is about, it is about a girl who discovers that. How do I describe this series? This is about a girl called Wendy who realizes that she just may not. I just hit myself in the face. She realizes that she just may not be who she thought she was when her mother tries to kill her when she is 6 years old. Scary, right? This is the second book in the series, and I won't tell you much about the plot of this book, but overall, I did not really enjoy it. The writing was just kind of and I didn't really like the characters very much. So it got a 3 out of 5 stars for me on Goodreads. The next book I read this month was the third book in the Trill series called Ascend. Yeah, again, I didn't really enjoy this series very much. It was just kind of meh. The writing wasn't very great. It was a lot of showing. No, it was a lot of telling instead of showing. And that's just not very much fun to read. So this got 3 out of 5 stars as well. And the next book I read this month was for my American literature class, and it was The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I'm sure a lot of people already know what this book is about, but I did not like it. I'm just not a huge fan of the writing style from that time era. So I didn't really like it very much. And can we talk about how annoying Tom Sawyer is? I mean, that kid. The next book I read was The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. And this is one of the earliest, no, it's not early. This is a book that a lot of people online kind of say is the epitome of creepy kid ghost story kind of things. And I could see how that is what they would think it would be a lot like. And again, I just didn't really like the writing style. The way Henry James writes is like just a huge pile of run-on sentences, and it was hard for me to get through, but I had to read it for my literature class, so I had to get through it. So yeah, I just didn't really like it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, I think. The next book I read was also by Henry James. It was Daisy Miller, which is another story by him that I did not like. Whoa! Surprising, right? It was only about 60 pages, but it took me a while to get through it. And I didn't like it. It was boring. All of the characters basically were really not likable, and it got 2 stars on Goodreads. The next book I read this month was probably my favorite of the books I read this month. I said this month a lot. Yeah, I tend to do that. Oops. So, without further ado, this is the book. A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. It's a really cute little fluffy love story, but the catch is it is told in 14 different viewpoints, none of which are of the two people falling in love. And it's just really cute and really fluffy. Really fluffy. Fluffy precious. Ha! Fluffy precious. Ha! It was just a really fun book to read. I enjoyed it. I read it in one sitting, pretty much. It's just really cute. I liked it. It was fun. It took me about 100 pages to really get into it, but yeah, it was worth the read. And I discovered this book through Cassidy on BookTube here, and I went and bought it pretty much immediately. So yeah, it was worth the read. I really liked it. Oh, fun fact. This is the writer's debut novel, and she wrote it in Guess how many days? She wrote it in 6 days. 6 days. And I could kind of tell that this was a debut novel because the writing wasn't so great in some places. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. And also, look at this cover. Look how cute it is. It's all raised and it's like a little tree with all the different like people that tell the story. And then the two little people there and the bench. Yeah, it's cute. I liked it. Next is The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane. As you can tell, I had to read it for my literature class. If I hadn't had to read this for my literature class, I would have put it down almost immediately. I don't like this whole reading classics things and then hating them. It makes me feel like I'm like something's wrong with me. But again, I didn't like the writing style. It's just something about this time period. People just talked really funny, I guess. This is during the Civil War. And I don't know. If you want to know what it's basically about a young man who volunteered for the war thinking that it was going to be a grand old time. And then battle comes toward him and he runs away. He books it. He is terrified. And then it's basically about him dealing with what's going to happen to him now that he's run away. And the storyline, the story, the premise, the message is a good message. I get it. I like that message. But the writing was so, oh my goodness. I hated it. Honestly, I hated it. Like sometimes he was super intellectual, like a textbook, and other times it was like he couldn't find the word to describe something. And then there was one point here. Let me read this. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. So let me know in the comments if you think this makes sense, because I don't think it does. The lieutenant of the youth's company was shot in the hand. He began to swear so wondrously that a nervous laugh went along the regimental line. The officer's profanity sounded conventional. It relieved the tightened senses of the new men. It was as if he had hit his fingers with a tack hammer at home. He held the wounded member carefully away from his side so that the blood would not drip on his trousers. Who does that? It just doesn't make sense to me that in a wartime, when someone gets shot in the hand and then swears like you just like smashed his thumb with a hammer, that it's funny, and then he holds his hand away from his pants so he doesn't bleed on them. It's just like, why is that funny? That's tragic. I don't know. I didn't like it at all. It was boring, and I didn't like the writing, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. All right, and the last book I read is not really a book. Honestly, it's like 20 pages maybe, but I read it online, so I couldn't really tell. And it's also by Stephen Crane. It's called The Open Boat, and it's about 4 men stranded in the middle of the ocean in a dinghy, and they have to try to get to shore. I read it a lot easier than I read The Red Badge of Courage, but I still didn't really like it. But yeah, you can take a look. I'll link all the books down below, and if you want to take a look at them, go ahead, knock yourself out. All right, those are all the books I read this month. I did not have a great reading month at all. I mean, I read a lot, but I didn't really like many of the books I read at all, really. And that's really frustrating for me because I like to have good reading months. So that about wraps up the video. If you liked it, give it a like, give it a little thumbs up for me. It would help me out. Alright, lets me know that I'm actually doing something that someone actually likes. I'm looking at my face again. I need to get on this. So yeah, subscribe, like, you know, the things. Leave a comment if you read any of the books that I read. If you liked them, let me know. If you didn't like them, let me know too. We could have a little discussion down there. And yeah, I will see you next time, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye! Yeah, 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 yeah. It's windy outside. Lets me though. Bleh, 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 bleh. Lets me know. I feel like you're walking towards me, but you're not. Yeah. Last book. I'm almost done. I'm almost done.